Hey, hold on real quick.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Has it started? Hey, what's up? I'm JV. I don't know if I'm on or if I'm not. Welcome to the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. Oh, that's we're here on reasonable doubt. It's March 7th. We're doing this underground. We're in Zoom. We don't know if this is working or not. It's the first time Houston Media Source has put out the show, and we're so happy to be here. Live in the booth is Mark Pirtle. Thank you for setting this up. Guest tonight, we have Damon Parrish. Awesome. Welcome back, brother. Todd DuPont, Justin Harris, hosting as well. How's everybody doing? It's a pleasure to see everybody.
Where are your gloves? Love. Where's everyone's gloves and masks?
Oh, snap.
I thought
I don't believe in that.
Covered.
I don't believe in that.
Is this safe right now?
Are we live? Somebody say something.
We're live, bro.
Yeah, we're live.
It's May 7th, JB.
Yeah, it's May.
What did I say? April?
You said March 7th, but it starts with an M. It's okay.
It's May 7th. This is great. This is great. Damon, are you there?
Of course I'm here.
Damon, how are you doing, brother?
I'm tired. Very, very busy.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. How are you doing?
I'm okay, man. I'm okay. Todd DuPont, where you at?
Hanging out, man.
Yeah.
Y'all cool?
We cool, man. We cool. Justin Harris, how you living?
I was working from home.
Damon, are you there?
Of course I'm here.
Damon, how are you doing?
Is Justin working?
I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I hear you now.
Hey.
All good. Just working from home.
I love the stash, man. I like what you're doing there.
I'm wearing a mask so much I forget it's there.
Okay, look, I think we're up. Look, Kate Farrell says, "What's up? What's up, Kate? How are you?"
All right, somebody's watching.
Hey, can you guys see the Facebook Live thing on the side where people are texting and stuff?
No,
I'm on Facebook on my phone.
If
so
you do the Facebook thing, you can see the like who's watching. Make sure and mute. You got to mute your Facebook though.
Yeah, obviously.
Otherwise, you get feedback.
So it's kind of crazy these days with coronavirus and having to do the show from our homes.
It's pretty cool. I'm glad to be a part of it. Well, let's. Who has the dog?
Sorry, I'll take care of the
obviously,
dog.
Justin's dogs. That's why he's smirking like that.
Hey. Who let the dogs out?
So what's first? What are we talking about first?
All right, let's just talk about it. Hey, look. So the May 4th, there was a guidance for all court proceedings during COVID-19 pandemic that apparently extends some of the principles to June 1st regarding courts are not required to commence any in-person proceedings, through June 1st. What are your thoughts on that, man? How has everybody been running in court?
Whatever keeps us safe. I think that's going to be extended. To be honest with you, I don't think June 1st is going to be where it's going to end. My guess is we won't be back to August. Work is not worth dying for. At least not our jobs. So whatever keeps us safe and keeps us moving, let's do it.
How long do you think this is going to go? The underground says, there's been no jury trials have been suspended through May 31st, but I don't see how they're going to, especially with any jury trial, 30-person or 60-person or 120 panel, how they expect people to gather in groups and then miss more work coming back in. Do we see any? What are our thoughts on jury trials? I don't think anything's coming in through at least November, December, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Well,
the problem is that if this stuff comes down to like, if the governor just issues some kind of decree, you know, a client asked me a similar question, do we want to be back soon, right? And I was like, I don't know, because I don't know if we're going to be back because we're ordered to be back. And we're not really in the kind of job where we can like go on strike, right? If lawyers strike, we get in trouble, criminal defense lawyers with the state bar. So, I don't know. I don't want to go back until, frankly, there's a vaccine or there's more widespread testing and we can know if we've got it. And
I'm not taking the vaccine.
I don't know what. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do this. And if the governor just signs a decree saying jury service, you don't have to worry about the 6 feet thing, then it just comes down to whether or not people are going to leave their job, like you said, JB, if they get it back and want to risk their own personal health and show up for jury service. But right, as far as I'm concerned, nothing happens until jury trials are a reality.
Well, but let's kind of think about what we know right now. We know right now that the testing isn't where it needs to be for folks to either understand whether or not they've already had COVID. And sadly, I say this, all of us at this point now are semi-experts on epidemiology and biostatistics, and we've all become these semi-experts on what we see on the news and on Facebook. But the reality is we're all learning how to understand this novel coronavirus daily. The reality is government is conflicting with the scientists, quite frankly. Government wants to open and has reopened to some degree, but the scientists are telling us, y'all might want to slow down. Here's the reality. The reality is that we've got to make sure to be safe. That's it. That's the driving force here. Let's be safe. Masks are designed for folks not to give somebody else COVID potentially. But there's so much going on here. We all have to step back and just understand we just need to survive this thing. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So I agree with Todd. And what I would add to that is what you look at the governor's orders, what that is about. It's about economics. It's not about safety. It's about money. And there's a fear on that side of the table that a prolonged stay-at-home order will cause more economic downturn, which will lead to further downturn than being sick, go back to work. Now, put that in what we do. There's no money in criminal jury trials. There is for defense bar private, but for the most part, the world doesn't see a huge uptick in economic fortune because of criminal defense jury trials. So that makes criminal defense jury trials only important to keep cases going. So people cannot be stuck in jail forever and keep them going. If you can satisfy the means of getting them out of jail, right, where they're not just languishing in jail for years on end waiting on a trial, then I don't see the governor really pushing forward, moving with jury trials, because that has no economic impact that he's concerned about. Not like having the large venues open for concerts, which affects so much, or sporting events, that kind of thing.
Well, I get that, but one thing that jury trials do is that they are a symbol of normalcy, and they're a symbol that the government backs the idea that private industry should open back up. So I completely agree that all of this is economic driven, and there's not any economic basis for reopening jury trials. In fact, I see them saying, no, let people go back to work before they start having to drag their butts down to the courthouse and waste a day or however longer for jury service. I just think there's some. Go ahead,
there's no way to social distance in our situation at any courthouse that we have right now.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Even if we're just using social distancing 6-foot rules as a measuring stick, that can't be achieved.
Right.
By what we have.
It can't be. It can't be. Unless we pick juries like they do in capital cases where you march in one juror at a time and have a private voir dire with one juror at a time, taking what would be a 4 or 5 day felony trial out for 6 weeks.
That won't work. Even if you did that, how do you answer? Where do they sit in the courtroom to hear evidence while you still keep an open courtroom to the public?
You can put them in the gallery.
Then how do they deliberate?
You put deliberation to be an issue. You put them in the gallery.
How
You
do
know,
you
Put
I
them in
mean,
the gallery, and then you have to have 6 foot distancing. You still have to have the room open to the public. I mean,
which
it can be
how
done.
do you
I
keep
just
it public? I don't necessarily think that we're having public court proceedings either. I think to a degree, I just don't like the idea of things happening in court that somebody can't just walk in and see. I'm not accusing or saying anything yet, but I am saying that, in my opinion, it's easier for a judge or a court to do things that they may not have been doing if they don't think or know that, court watch. We have watchdog agencies that actually spy on the courts. They've been on our
right.
show before, aren't there. I don't know. I just don't necessarily think that we have public proceedings either. Now I know some courts have started to portray their court proceedings via YouTube as well, live streaming. I think that's more of a public courtroom. But
Harris County courts.
one of
felony
them,
courts.
the only one I know of is Judge Bynum. That's
Really?
doing that. Maybe one or two others that I've heard about.
Yeah, yeah. Some of the felony courts, when you do some of their pleas, are live streamed via YouTube or another platform. Personally, I said it before, I'll say it again. I think the best justice you can get as a defense attorney is when the camera's in the courtroom. To be
I
fair.
agree.
So if we keep cameras in the courtroom, I think we'll see a better. That's the best justice we can get. I'm all for keeping these cameras in the courtroom. I'd rather have 2 cameras or 1 camera right in the judge's face than 5 anonymous watchers, because I've sat through court and seen judges say the most ridiculous thing, and they didn't give a shit who was listening. And then I watched that same judge hit the camera, and all of a sudden everything changes.
Of
So
course.
I champion having more cameras in courts.
How about
We are still on TV, and the FCC does. They're all working from home too, Damon. So they do
What do you
give up.
say? What do you say? What do you
He's
say?
on the S-bomb.
Hey, I'll say it. I'll say it.
The S-bomb?
Yeah.
We're actually on the internet, sir. We're not on TV, so we can say what we want on the internet.
No, it's streaming.
We're
It's
on
streaming
both,
to.
right?
We're on Facebook, aren't we?
We all.
Well,
So-
whatever.
Damon Parrish for AGCLA president next year, or you're next, whatever that is. I'm just saying.
how about we
He's doing what he's doing.
how about we give the viewers, if any, an idea of how we are conducting court down there?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's start with y'all's for Todd, Damon, and Justin. I know Todd's been to court. Damon, have you been to court?
Oh yeah.
Justin, you been to court at all?
Yep.
What's y'all's experience? What's your pros and cons of it? And we'll start there, and we can start going down that line.
The elevators are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. They wait for you. The only time they suck is when you want to get on one and there's 2 people on the elevator, and so
I still haven't seen that.
I've seen it twice, and so I had to follow the rule. I'll say I follow the rule since FCC is watching me, because I followed the rule.
What's the biggest issue that y'all have found in doing the virtual dockets? And so for everyone watching, some of us are live, some of us are virtual, some of us are live and virtual. I've literally been in one court, zooming in another court, like live in one court, zooming in the other.
Yeah.
What is the biggest issue that y'all have found or feel that is confronting us and in helping the people that we represent or issues with the court?
Well, let's talk about potentially why we have to go to court.
There you
why
go.
Humans have to go to court. So, as I understand it, at least my practice has demonstrated since this occurred, that all right, with regards to going to court, the lawyer and the defendant, whether that defendant was typically a defendant in jail, and we'll come back to people getting bond conditions, but the notion was essential court proceedings. That was one of the initial mandates from the governor. Harris County followed suit. It was kind of unclear what that meant in the beginning. It turned out that means, hey, if we can get people disposed of with their cases or out of jail, let's do that. And I think, by and large, that occurred. I do. As best it could, is with the manpower and woman power that we had to do it. We were getting people out, bonds were being reduced. But in terms of going to jail, we had to go to jail with a live body if it was going to potentially dispose of the case that day. Is that each of y'all's understanding and the way that it happened with you all?
Yes.
That's yeah. Well,
Right.
at the beginning, yeah. Hopefully, yeah, things kind of changed, but
Well, and now, so what we don't, or maybe the public doesn't understand, is that while defense lawyers, well, first of all, when this popped, the Kim Og basically told all of her line prosecutors, you cannot go to court any longer, and ordered them out. And they all left pretty reasonably quick. From that point on is kind of when we started talking about Zoom and how are we going to do this. But the defense bar was still going to court and we were trying to keep up. But at that point, the DAs weren't going. But guess who was going? The bailiffs, the CLOs, the clerks, the court, everybody else that's essential had to go to the building, right? And so at some point, and Damon, you've been instrumental, and you can talk about this, about how do we do a plea without everybody in the courtroom other than those essentials. But it seems like what we've done is we're piecemealing this day by day just to try to figure out how to do it properly.
So Corey Roth just posted. So we all heard about the client, about an individual, a human that died in the jails last night. So Corey says he had a client die in custody today or yesterday when Corey Roth had given him a PR bond on Monday, yet he couldn't come to court because he was sick and wasn't able to sign a MOEP paperwork.
No, it's not even that.
So instead of getting better medical conditions, treatment and getting released, even though he had a PR bond, he died. And so that is at least something that I'm looking at that says that's a major issue that needs to be fixed. That when a judge grants a PR bond, that dude needs to get out, whether or not has to sign a MOEP that day or the next day. I think he needs to get out as soon as he can. What are your thoughts, D?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me started on this stuff with the jail. Yeah, so I'm reading Corey's thing, and that's something that I think we've all seen before, and I've seen for sure. They don't release people until you can sign a MOEP, and I think MOEPs, which is an order of emergency protection, which is a protective order, I think they're important to sign, but you can sign one later. Like you can sign one the next day. You come to court and sign one. I just read that also.
They can make it a bond condition that when the pretrial services person has the defendant sign the pretrial services PR bond, they can also be signing their bond conditions that the judge has already signed. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that there is somebody is holding that paperwork up. If a judge signed a PR bond, if you read that PR bond paperwork, it says that they're ordered to be released. So if you're telling me that somebody else made a decision to hold them until they signed another piece of paper, that person was in violation of a court order.
But let's also know, y'all, that the Fair Defense Act requires that people receive their warnings. And typically when they're receiving warnings, if the state is moving for a no contact for the complainant or a MOEP, which usually happens around the same time, those things should hopefully be being done, and they're not, but at the magistrate court.
Well, so yeah and no. So here's the deal. Sometimes magistrates don't sign do MOEPs, and I've been there before, and in my opinion, they shouldn't in those cases. And there's nuanced cases where they don't do it, they shouldn't do it. But then the county court or district court judge, as a rule, like as a blanket rule, if you're charged with this offense, you get a MOEP, period. I think that's foolish. I think it's foolish to have as a blanket rule. You can examine each case. 99% of assault family member cases get a protective order, but the 1% that don't need one. And I can see a situation. I'm not saying this is Corey's situation, But I can see a situation where the magistrate heard everything. You hear all of them, you hear all that stuff, and you hear even the having worked in PC court, you even hear like the off the record, like, "Hey, judge, here's the deal," and so then decided, okay, not doing a MOAB in this case, and then the sitting judge is like, well, in this case, I always do MOABs, and so I'm not going to grant a PR bond, or I'm going to grant a PR bond, but I won't sign the order until the MOAB's done, right? And then therein lies the issue. I'm not saying this is Corey's case because I'm reading about it right now, but I can see a situation, Todd, where magistrate will not do a MOAB as they should not, and yet you're still in jail waiting on a MOAB.
Speaking of bonds, what I have encountered, and I saw one judge just tear apart another lawyer for approaching a different judge regarding a bail reduction. And that judge, when he caught wind of it, brought that attorney back and just laid into that attorney for approaching a different judge when that judge wasn't on the bench for reducing bail. So here's how it goes. Let me just explain something to people who are viewing. Let's say you got one judge and this judge says, you know what, not reducing this bond. Okay. Now COVID hits, it's March. Everybody in jail is trying to get out because people are dying in the jail. And then this same lawyer reapproaches the judge and says, hey, based on these change of circumstances, we need the bond to be reduced. Well, in the situation that's happening now, judges are covering other judges' benches. And so this particular new judge, or this judge that was covering the old judge's bench for the week, reduced the bond, and that person bonded out. And then when somebody gets bonded out, they have to return to court and receive bond conditions. And when this person returned to court to receive the bond conditions in front of the original judge, this original judge was furious and said, hey, a month or two ago, I'm not reducing this bond. And, how dare you go to another district court judge and reduce the bond? When in reality, that other district court judge was covering for the other district, the bench, and reduce the bond. And so what I have found is you have to be very cautious in who you're approaching and the type of cases that you have, because you don't want one district court judge saying one thing and then him not being there or her not being there and going to another district court, and then that district court doing something that the other old court or the home court wouldn't approve of.
Well, and in the past, no other judge would typically, probably even today, wants to set a bond for another judge's court. I mean, it just seems like it invades that particular court's providence for setting bonds the way they want to. Of course, the Bell lawsuit arguably was supposed to get away or do away with bail schedules, which means bail is unique to each court that assigns that particular bail. But look, the practical matter is no judge wants to set another bail for another judge, but enter COVID. I mean, COVID has changed the deal, man. And at some point, they have to have reciprocity between judgments on bail, I would think. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I agree.
Have you all experienced any issues with finality of judges' orders? Anything like one judge saying this and then the next judge saying, no, I don't think so. I will say that if I know a particular judge is on the bench and I need something and I know this judge is not a good judge to ask, I'm not going to go and ask. I'm going to wait for the other judge who's going to come on next week to ask. I mean, I'm not dumb. We're not dumb. And when we're judge, it's not judge shopping or venue shopping, but it's so-and-so's on the bench this week and so-and-so's on the bench next week. So when do you want to approach?
Well, that seems to be exactly what you're complaining about.
Well, so actually, I see it different, JV. I got you back on this one. For me, it's not so much about forum shopping. What it is I need a person who's going to listen to my argument. Because a lot of times, if I'm going to approach on a weird case, I have a weird argument. And I just need somebody to hear what I have to say. I am completely satisfied with a judge who hears my argument and legitimately considers it and either accepts or denies it. I'll walk away pissed if you deny it, but I'll be happy that you at least heard me and gave me a chance. I am not happy with ones who say, with this crime, this offense, I only do this. That upsets me because, I mean, no two offenses alike. And I look at four attorneys on this call right now. I'm reading attorneys on the chat room, and we've all won cases with facts people thought we should have lost. We've all had those offenses. People are like, "Oh man, how can you represent somebody like that?" And we should have lost. They say we should have lost, and we won. Things are just different, you know. I mean,
Well,
that's all I want is a judge who just listen to my argument.
and if the judges are going to set up agreements where, you know, JV, the terminology you were using was like old judge and new judge and all that, but it's presiding judge and visiting judge. If the presiding judge is going to relinquish control and decision-making power to a visiting judge because we're under a pandemic or because they want to go on vacation or because they're sick, they get some say in who that visiting judge is. And if they have some policy, this came out in the Chronicle, they have a policy that this is what happens in my court, don't do it or do it, they can leave that sticky note for the visiting judge. But the reality is, when you say a visiting judge can cover your docket, don't later on come screaming at the lawyer or anybody else and complaining about what the visiting judge did when you weren't there. That's what frustrates the heck out of me.
Well, what ends up happening, and what ended up happening in this case, judge said, "I don't think so." I don't know if I don't necessarily think he revoked the bond, but he raised it back, and defendant went back into custody after they had already
That's
posted
ridiculous.
the bond.
And the bonding company has to keep all the money.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like, dude, what are you doing? I don't know. That's just
You want to name the court?
No,
he's still gonna work. His client's still on that court. He's gotta
man,
work.
I gotta work.
That's
Man.
fine.
Come on.
That's fine.
Yeah. We can't.
No,
do
but
that.
it's not uncommon though. It's not. It's
No.
not like to this court.
No, it's not uncommon at all.
Let's
There's nothing wrong with it. If there was something wrong
tell-
with it, the judge would leave a note saying, "Don't do this."
let's tell people that are on bond what's happening with their cases.
Yeah. Let's talk about
Good
let's
idea.
talk about people on bond.
You mean like as far as what we're doing or what the courts are doing?
Well, I would just suggest to start the dialogue that, in essence, if you're on bond, you are zero priority to a court right now. Also, most likely your DA, and they are screening their cases to look for time served situations, but I deal with a lot of people charged on serious felonies typically. My point is, if you're on bond, we'll see you in June, July.
Yeah.
Is that y'all's
so
experience?
my thing is, if you're on bond, I tell them now is a chance to show you can be on probation. Be honest with you.
That's good.
I mean, that's what I tell them, because if you can not fuck this up while you're on bond and you can
Damon,
you can handle probation, there you go. What?
nothing.
What?
Nothing.
I watch Law and Order SVU and they drop F-bombs also too, okay? So if you cannot fudge this up while you're on bond, then you have a good chance of showing that, hey, I can be good on probation. And anybody who's on bond right now that messes up, then I hate to say this, but you deserve to be in jail. I'm not the kind of person that wants people in jail, but now is a time where you just lay low and just handle your business. And if you can't do that, then you're in trouble.
You know, and pre-trial is still in full effect. I don't know if they're requiring, and maybe somebody who's listening can tell us if they're actually requiring in-person visits. I know every time I live, every time
they are.
Yeah, every time I walk out the courtroom, there's a line out of pre-trial services building.
It's like nothing has changed there. And I think what it is that literally the paper they get from the courts is exactly the same. Like, I think they're doing what they're ordered to do.
But let me ask, is that just for the first? I have clients that are calling in.
I have clients that are calling in, but I have clients that go down there every single week to pee in a cup. Yeah. And now I go to the judge, and the judge just turns to whoever it is, the coordinator or the CLO, depending on if it's pretrial services or the probation department, and tells them to send an email to make it stop, and it stops. But I think what it is just the automated process that was in place, it's still in place. We're all just being told to operate differently, but the mechanism, the machine needs new cogs in it that work to make the machine work differently. Because there is still a line every day I go down there. There's a line outside pretrial services.
So Justin, I'm going to agree with you, but I'm also going to disagree. And the reason why I say that is I've got clients who I think what I'm seeing is judges taking more chances, at least the judges I practice in front of, taking more chances with PR bonds on people they probably wouldn't take a chance on last year, right? And you get a surety bond. And with that chance typically comes more monitoring. Because every judge, and I agree with them, and I feel sorry for them, doesn't want to be the judge that lets somebody out who commits a very serious crime while they're on a PR bond, right? Nobody wants to be that judge. And I feel for them on that. And so what I'm seeing is those people who probably would not have gotten a PR bond pre-COVID, who got a PR bond, get increased monitoring. And I think
I don't disagree with that.
That's what I'm thinking it is.
And I know there's a give and take there, but it does not change the fact that when you look at the line of people outside of pretrial services, they're not spaced 6 feet apart. If you've been inside that building, the desks are not, there's no room in that old building they were going to demolish for the workers to be 6 feet apart. So, like Todd was saying earlier, whether we're staying home, getting to do the show without any pants on or anything like that, there's still people every day who have to go in that building just to make the machine work. And I think that's still happening because there's not a group of pretrial services officers who have an organization. There's not a group of the district clerks who have a union. There's not people necessarily looking out for them because those people are just trying to do what they're ordered to do.
They have representation, sir. Trust me.
I know that the people who are in charge care very much about them and are advocating for them. But I'm saying literally the orders that they get have not changed.
Right.
I was looking at the pretrial orders that the judge signed and what it directs Harris County Pretrial Services to do. And it's the exact same as the other one. And it's all the same language. Report in person each time you're ordered to, each time your case is on the docket. None of that.
The only thing I would comment on that point would be that I believe that each of the judges are using their discretion on about what manner to watch their folks on bond. Like, I know judges that have said, I'm not going to drug test you, even though they likely should, but they don't. So I think it's just typically going to be based upon the judge's proclivities.
Corey Ross brought up a good point. Shout out to pretrial services. We know all of them. We get down to court. They're out there every day, even though sometimes they're submitting bond violations for my guys. But shout out to them because they are, we speak about first responders and I think sometimes they get somewhat of a bum rap because
they're the courthouse first responders.
Every day.
Pretrial services is, right. And I also say one thing that stayed consistent, not just the judge's orders, but their attitude. Like, they're still just as pleasant as they've always been. They're still my favorite department. They're not, whatever's happening, any reason for a line, any check-ins, it's because the paperwork that they get tells them they have to do that. And Todd's exactly right. The judges are using proper discretion, and like Damon said, to let people out who they wouldn't have with increased conditions. And like Todd said, when those conditions are brought to their attention, they're considering things to be appropriate.
What have you all?
So something that Ingrid just wrote, in which I'm going to answer. She wrote, "Have y'all seen the increase in bond condition requests from the state?" Hell, fuck yeah. I don't even know. I think I would commend every person, every party in this situation, other than the DA's office, in their response to it. I've seen them try to block every request I've ever had to get somebody on a lower bond, with the exception of a few courts. And I have not understood why. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a guy charged with credit debit card abuse. For those who don't know what that is, credit debit card abuse is a state jail felony. It's one step above a misdemeanor. Yeah, it's bad. And yeah, we fucking hate it. Sorry, Justin. We really hate it.
Number 4.
Keep counting. It's gonna be more, I promise. But
I don't pay it.
But on the spectrum of felony crimes, I'm working on it. On the spectrum of felony crimes, a state jail felony is not one we worry about. You know what I mean? It's just not one we worry about. And I was like, why can't I get this guy a PR bond? And I had to go through all kinds of hoops to get him a PR bond. and he's just a state jail felony. And it bothered me, that we were fighting so much until I finally got a hold of, like JV Justice said, a reasonable prosecutor to be like, oh no, let's get him a PR bond with conditions. And I'm like, that's all I've asked for. It's literally all I want. I don't care if he has an ankle monitor. I don't care if you drug test him. If he violates, you got him. But this
Just
dude
get him out.
and to add to it, he had no violent priors, right? He had no violent priors. So it wasn't like he was charged with the state jail felony today, but yesterday it was murder, and the day before it was sex assault. It really has just been like some low-level POMs, one misdemeanor theft, and then this one, but we're fighting a PR bond. And I didn't understand why the DA's office was fighting it. So I would commend every organization involved with this, except for the DA's office when it comes to bonds.
I have a different experience. I can tell you, since this occurred, that the courts I work in and the prosecutors I work with regularly have done nothing other than their typical MOEP or bond conditions. I have not seen anything out of the ordinary. And honestly, Damon, I'll tell you that the DAs that I work with have been trying to make sure that we can do this.
They must like you. I think they hate my ass then. They must
how about homegirl getting fired?
Who?
What's that?
What's her name for sharing that?
Well, I don't know if you want to bring that up, dude. That's not really cool to talk about.
At least text me about it later.
Yeah, seriously. I'm trying to figure out who you talked about now.
No,
but dude, that's
yeah.
She posted on Facebook. She's taking her talents to Galveston. That was strong. That was real strong. I loved her. She was cool.
I'm not commenting on that.
Okay, let's talk about. Have you seen judges releasing individuals specifically because of COVID? Have you seen that, or in response to some of the valid or not valid orders to release low-level offenders? Have you seen judges doing that sua sponte?
Yeah. I'll start. When this popped, some of the judges I work with, again, on their own motion, on their own merit, looked at their dockets and started to review bonds that, for low-level felony offense folks, they just either gave PR bonds on their own with the data they had from pretrial services, or of course you'd get a phone call and there would be a conference between the state and the defense and the judges. So I think, at least initially, some of the judges that I have experience with working with were trying to do their part to get people out that were typically people that would be sitting in jail for $2,500, $5,000, $10,000 bond, right?
I agree. I've seen judges on PR requests, and I don't want to say pain in their eye, but definitely, you can see that they're weighing COVID in their decision. Some of them even said it. I don't want them to die in jail, so I'll give them a PR bond.
I think at least a couple of judges that I know, they went through every case on their docket.
Yep.
So I think at this point, if your defendant's still in jail, there has probably been, again,
he's a bad dude.
Well, I'm saying depending on the court, if they've done the run through their docket, look at their own bonds, then yes, potentially that's a person that, and the media hypes it up whereby the sheriff's letting everybody out. All these judges are letting people out. Well, that's not the case, right? First of all, the sheriff can't let anybody out. I mean, we saw Judge Ritchie intervene with a order superseding, what's her name? Lena Hidalgo's order.
Yeah.
How about Judge Ritchie stepping up like that, man? Basically saying, nah.
Well, look,
I wanted to do that.
It was a nicer letter than the one that the guy from Houston Police Officers Union wrote.
Tacky.
You'll see that one.
Jamaldi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe Gimaldi.
So
God,
so
that was brutal.
I like Herb Ritchie, but don't get it twisted. He may have signed it, but he did so only because he was a presiding judge or the administrative judge, whatever you call him. He's the head of the 22 district court judges or whatever it is.
He
That
didn't write it.
He may have, right. I'm not saying he did or didn't, but I'm saying that order was released a day after they had their judges meeting. Does
Well,
that make
but
sense?
the point means he stands behind it, as does the other 21.
Of course they do, and I don't blame him for that. So I agree. I agree with Todd. I think the judges have done, for the most part, I've seen done a great job. I've seen them weigh COVID and as that a factor. I've seen judges give PR bonds on cases they would have never given a PR bond for. Period, and take chances because a person's higher risk or whatever. Like I said, I have no issue with anybody really, except for those DAs that I've been in front of that have fought against bonds in situations where I'm thinking, why are we fighting? That's not all of them. Just
I've
those
seen
DAs.
two things that I've not seen in 20 years in the last 60 days. The first one
Years, damn.
The first one was I looked at a case I got appointed to. The defendant had 3 cases. One of the drug cases had a $1 bond. So I literally it was $1. I've not seen a dollar bond in 20 years. Yep. The other thing that I saw was a man being admonished by a court. I don't remember who he was on bond, being admonished for not getting his ankle monitor straight. The judge told him to get it straight and let him walk out the door. I realized this case was unique when I asked the coordinator what this case was about. That dude was on bond for capital murder.
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
A person on bond had bond violations and was allowed to go home again.
I mean, like I said, the judges are doing their part.
I filed a very lengthy motion and a brief asking for my client to be released, who's being held on 2 felonies, and had the unfortunate reality of the governor's order coming out on that Sunday, and I had the hearing set on Monday, and so the judge just flat denied it based on the governor's order, and
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but that was a few weeks ago, and I'm going to try to take another bite at that apple.
Especially now that the governor's has said that his order doesn't have any more teeth to it.
Did y'all hear about why that happened?
The Dallas salon lady.
Yeah.
Thank God I'm not opening up any shops because I'd be in jail. You would too, Damon.
I mean, I could be in jail for a lot of things, but it won't be for running a fucking salon. Running a salon, I'll tell you that much.
Old girls in Laredo are sitting like,
right? Like, are we next?
No, well, she's out, right? About there was an order.
She was ordered to be released.
I think she's out. I saw a picture of her hugging her daughter with a face mask on. She's out.
Well, they gonna arrest all those dudes with AR-15s and stuff.
Hey,
I mean, they weren't breaking the law.
They weren't social distancing, no.
Hey, I didn't see any AR-15s in their hands, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Well, AR-15s are those are legal. ARs are legal, so you can have one. I mean, that's not a problem. Now, can you have one in the courthouse?
Make sure you're wearing
different.
a mask when you're carrying it in public.
How? What else? Oh, so also in the jail, this is a very, I think, interesting thing. So we're having these kind of what they're called COVID deals, right? Where 25 to lives are being reduced to time served misdemeanor. Not in every case, okay?
Yeah, where?
I've had some. And some 2 to 20s, some 2 to 10s. The deals are being cut and being brokered.
It happens. It happens sometimes, dude.
Sometimes. And on some of these pleas, which is very interesting, pre-COVID, it would, at this point, everything on misdemeanors was, or anything county was 3 for 1, right? Or 2 for 1. It was generally 3 for 1. However, very interestingly, now, and for any district attorneys that are watching as well, it's day for day unless the individual has no prior violent history, which would be anything
the data that we learned from Miss Inger?
Yeah.
Yes, if you're as you're watching, yes. And so the idea is
How did she learn that unfortunate fact?
she emailed, at least according to what I have seen and know, is she emailed one of the lieutenant in charge, and it came out that, hey, look, if you have any prior history of violence, basically hands on anybody else.
I mean, the sheriff is control of the credit they give, but surely the sheriff should alert the courts and the DAs and the defense bar a policy change for that.
Wait. What's this now? Like, I haven't heard this.
I mean, the sheriff could alert, but honestly, the sheriff has a lot going on his plate right now. Days credit when he's got 500 inmates testing positive. He's got more pods becoming quarantined than not. I mean, what I'm saying is basically I can see how he could change the policy and not really do a full alert.
No, but change the policy
there's
to
not
keep
3 for 1.
No, change the policy to keep people in jail.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why would he be keeping people in jail when he should be getting people out? So, for example, all right. So let's say you're hitting county time. It's 90 days, right? Pop. If you have 30 days credit, you're at a time served. You're out. Nowadays, the only way you're getting out on a 3 for 1 or getting a good credit is if you have no prior history of violence. If what I understand, or you got to be
violence.
Yeah, or family violence, or I would say violent felony. So, for example, instead of getting out time served at 30 days, guess what? You got 60 more days to do.
That jacks with the clerks. That jacks with the lawyers.
The DAs even know that?
No.
Okay, so if I go to jail on a criminal mischief, but 10 years ago I had a domestic violence case and I get 90 days on a criminal mischief, I got 30 days credit, I have to sit 60 more days?
Yes.
Right. So Inger just texted. He didn't change the policy. He's following the governor's order. So if the order says that,
he's interpreting the governor's order to even include his ability to determine time credit.
Well, it does. His original GA-13 does talk about time credit. That's correct. It does do that. So
let's talk about that G30. So what's going on? Judge Morton declared something unconstitutional on a case. What's the deal? Do we know about that? I'm not up to date. Is that not ready to be discussed?
I didn't watch it.
I don't know much about it, so I'm letting Justin take over. He was like a smart guy, like a law.
No,
guy.
I don't. I mean, so from what I understand from listening to y'all before the show started, Judge Morton, the 230th, declared GA-13, the governor's order, to be unconstitutional, which it absolutely is. But I guess, Todd, you're board certified, right?
No.
Damn.
He's the bad at. It's the bad arse.
But so where does it go next?
Take another test.
So, okay, fair enough. So where does it go next? If the governor has to decide if he wants to challenge it?
Hey.
I'm out of iced tea.
Loser.
So what happens now? I mean, does it not apply in the 230th? Does it not apply anywhere in Harris County? How broad is Judge Morton's declaration of unconstitutionality?
Here's what I would do, JB. Your next Zoom next Thursday should be the lawyer that argued that case.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Good idea.
It's a good get. Who did that?
I don't know.
It was
and hey, honestly, we don't have much to do, but you might want to see if you can get the lawyer that won the writ to get that lady out of jail to Zoom in. That's still good lawyering.
Absolutely.
I don't like the situation around that, but he got her out of jail.
The woman who
Milan.
Yeah.
Yeah, up Dallas.
Yeah.
And then I could Skype the Mexicans.
Oh no, that wasn't okay. So no, we can't get that guy on because that wasn't lawyer work. That was Abbott calling Supreme Court saying do this. I mean, come on now. My kids aren't here to hear me say this, but that's like when my 6-year-old says he can do something, it's because I picked him up and let him do it. I mean, that ain't the same thing.
I thought there was a lawyer that won the writ.
Well,
No, I'm sure a lawyer won the writ, but when Todd, I mean, you've done more work than we have, especially appellate. When has a case gone from in jail on Tuesday to Supreme Court on Thursday?
It hasn't.
Thank you. That's the governor doing that. So
Well, okay. So the show would still love for that lawyer to come on and take all the credit that lawyer deserves.
What about Michael Flynn? He already pled guilty. Now his case is dismissed.
That's crazy.
It's good to know the king.
Yep.
Whatever. Let's talk about Harris County.
Yeah.
So I just saw on the district clerk's website, jury service, Wade Smith sent this to me. Jury service is canceled through June 30th now.
When did that change?
Today.
I don't know when it changed, but it
wasn't effective today. So there were some other, if anybody's listening, there were some other district clerk changes that were rolled out today, which I can talk about briefly.
Go for it.
But that's one of them. So one of them is if you ever go to the district clerk's website and look on the kiosk page, there is a tab that was missing that is now there. It's called the holds tab. So if you want to see if your client has like an immigration hold or a parole hold, that is there. You can see it now. They updated that situation as far as when jury service is going to happen. And then there is your clients can remote sign to remote sign plea deals if they're on bond. That situation still works under the parties tab.
Hold on. Don't brush over that. Under parties, but how did you get there, Damon?
Here. Can I share screen?
Share it.
All right. Ignore everything you see that's not what you should see, if that makes sense.
Nice. Look at that.
Oh.
Nice.
All right.
Hey.
So for those watching, this is how I do my videos, by the way. I sit at my table and do this, and then I record myself. Usually my kids are screaming in the background. All right. So you go to kiosk. And then they should have rolled out the holds tab so you can see any holds your clients have. Ignore my clients. He doesn't have any hold.
You got the Kenneth Lockings case, dude? Nice.
Ah, you know about that case?
No,
what's up with that case?
So the new thing you see right here, y'all see it? The booking holds tab?
Yeah.
So this guy has got no holds, but if he had a parole hold, you would see it. That's brand new as of today. And then the parties tab, this guy is on bond. I can type in his address.
No, you don't need to type it in because we can see his address right there.
He's just jacking with it.
That's actually my address. I was the first one to do it. And you hit this create defendant's login button, and it should it would send the email to this address on how to log in to this for that client to log into this only kiosk situation that they can see. It looks different than ours. And then they can sign any forms that may be there.
Damon, that's cool, man.
That's really cool.
Hey, don't thank me. Then there's another button too, the home screen. So if you ever go to kiosk and you want to go back to this page, have to log back in for whatever reason you can.
You know, I never understood why the district clerk didn't make it when you click kiosk, it enters into a new tab.
Hey man, but listen, that's been fixed. What I'm telling you is that's been fixed.
So who did this? Who you said who deserves the credit? Who's doing all that stuff?
District clerk. I can tell you her name, but I don't know if she wants to be recognized like that.
That's fine.
But
hey, it's good old Marilyn Burgess, man.
It's Marilyn Burgess. There you go. Yeah.
Damon.
Yeah.
Do the defendants have to have the ability to have a touch screen or a pad to sign?
No. You have to have a touch screen or a mouse. So if your defendant or client has a flip phone, they can't use that. That's all they have. But as long as they have a touchscreen or a mouse, then they'll be fine.
Okay.
I also just got a report that not only is jury service suspended through June, but grand jurors will start back in July. Only grand jurors in July.
Cases are being indicted right now, so I don't think grand juries have stopped.
Grand juries are meeting.
Yeah, they're meeting right now.
Yeah.
I just got weird that they're pulling grand jurors only in July. So maybe it's the grand jury that's still convening, that's already convened. I don't know if they've reconvened any or not.
They have to redo, like a session ends at a certain point in time. So maybe they're pulling
3 months.
Okay.
Hold on. There seems like there's one other thing that you did there.
So we just have a few minutes left, and I squandered a lot of time with unnecessary stuff. But what happens to any trials that were going on when this started? Like, have they stopped? They keep going? Are they going to come back?
I'd hate to be in trial right now. I'll tell you that much. If I was in the middle of trial, I'd hate to be in it right now.
You
Did you say that there were some trials?
Yeah. Well, there was that one trial, it's not Aramco, whatever oil company civil trial going on. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They were on week 1.5 of like 3 weeks. And I would hate to be a juror on that case and have to re-sit through the first week of boring civil testimony on oil and gas and contracts. But I don't know. That's a good question. I would just ask for a mistrial, I'll be honest with you.
I would too. That's what I'm thinking. Mistrial or nothing.
Unless they like their jury.
Right.
Hey, so how is everybody else doing, man? Todd, you holding up all right? Justin, you okay? Damon?
Doing fine. I can't complain.
Yeah, it's stressful. This new reality is stressful.
It is.
I think we're pretty close to it. Any last? There's a lot of last questions on the back end of it. Judge Warren says new August term for grand jurors. That's good. Inger's coming out with a whole bunch of stuff. Hey, how about this? Let's announce the new board. Matt Alford, congratulations. Stacy Bigger,
Congrats.
Inger Chandler, Sean Darvishi, Chris Downey, Kate, way to get reelected. Jamal Haynes, way to get reelected. Nathan, same. Nathan Hennigan. Mario Madrid, great lawyer. Brent Mayer's coming on the board. Murray Newman, welcome back, my friend. Murray Newman.
Wait, what?
Murray Newman.
Wait, what?
Newman.
Somebody guard the reasonable doubt tapes.
He's back.
Wait, what?
Todd Overstreet's back in the mix. Damon, you're welcome, y'all. As always, Sarah Ritchie's in the mix. I'm still in the mix. Sarah's back in on it as always.
Sarah Wood.
Our new president-elect, Mark Thiessen, our new president, outgoing Neil. Neil, you did a wonderful job. Hopefully we can get you on the show next week. Hey, Mark Thiessen has confirmed for next week, so he'll be on the show. Vice President Ted Silverman, welcome. I mean, as always, existing board member, always one of the tops. President-elect Joe Venus. Hey, Joe, let's do it.
Yeah.
Justin Harris, Secretary David Ryan. All of y'all, we as board members, we support y'all and are looking forward.
As President Troy McKinney.
Yeah. And thank you, Christina, for holding the whole thing together.
As always.
Damon, we didn't get into any of the Zoom or the e-please. I'm going to ask you to be back on the show again, and we can go over through it.
That's fine.
Todd, thank you for being here. Justin,
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, man.
Everybody stay safe and healthy.
We have to. With that said, Mark, where are we at as far as time? I think it's 30 seconds. Last words, anybody?
Hey, cheers,
we're
everybody.
done.
Cheers. Under 10.
Going back out into the real world.
Hey, this worked, huh?